Marijuana and its legalization affects the entire world. Even after decades of prohibition, cannabis continues to be an important medical issue, economic issue, legal issue, and personal issue. The idea of marijuana legalization is usually ignored by the public and scorned by the politicians, mostly due to ignorance. Despite countless official studies and piles of evidence suggesting marijuana should be legal, it remains the foremost target of the war on drugs.
Legalize it because it's so innocuous. Marijuana is a drug that really has no impact on society per se. No one has ever died from marijuana overdose. There's no such thing. If you're a marijuana user, basically what it does, it makes you very passive, makes you very complacent, makes you very agreeable, and makes you very hungry. And that's just about it. So I have no problem with legalizing it. The pros and cons just don't work. Many times what we hear in Canada comes from the US. Anything you've heard about marijuana generally is a myth, not a fact. But I mean, the propaganda's out there. People are scared of it because they've been told to be scared of it. But to me, I'd legalize it for various reasons. And probably the best one is that tobacco and alcohol is legalized, and the revenue from it is just so expansive. And what you could do is tax it, and you could have really pure marijuana. You would not have the bad stuff that's in it. And also you could use the profit to help those that are using harder drugs.
Yeah, I've seen figures in the hundreds of billions actually for revenue, which would be, and not to mention probably job creation as well. The number of jobs that would be created from legalizing it.
Drugs are the #1 cash flow for organized crime. Under a legalized model, you will reduce that revenue by approximately 80 to 90%. That's how much they rely on it. Another big issue, access by children. Under a legalized model, if you legalize it and you put safeguards in place, like an established a regulatory establishment, then you have safeguards in place, kids won't get it. It's easier in high schools today for kids to obtain marijuana than it is to get tobacco or alcohol, and that's why most people use it. Under a legalized framework, if you have safeguards in place, you create an establishment. You have to obtain a license to sell it legitimately.
We have termed it as an illicit or illegal drug, yet we know that alcohol and tobacco probably kill more. Tobacco, I know, kills more people than all the illegal drugs combined, bar none, but yet it's still legal. So it just does not make sense, and marijuana has not ever killed anybody. But we just can't get past that bridge of saying that it's illegal, so therefore it's bad, therefore we will not legalize it. But yeah, I think we should. People struggle. They don't struggle with marijuana. They struggle with alcohol. They die from lung cancer from, smoking tobacco. But they really struggle with ecstasy, LSD, heroin, crack, cocaine, you name it, even glue sniffing. That's what they struggle with, and that's what's harmful. Marijuana is not harmful in any way, shape, or form. All the research shows that it isn't.
There's nothing inherently harmful about it. There's nothing unhealthy about marijuana. The only aspect of marijuana that is actually unhealthy is the properties of smoke. If you light something on fire with butane and fuels and you intake it into the system, it's obviously going to have a negative effect on you. Now, what most people who don't smoke marijuana don't realize is that technology has advanced to the point where you can intake marijuana, or THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, and avoid all the carcinogens and like the tars, because everyone says that the counters to the counters to legalization say, well, marijuana produces 4 times as much tar as cigarettes, but that's all it produces. There's no benzene, there's no formaldehyde.
People against legalization say that marijuana destroys your brain cells, when quite the contrary. Marijuana has been scientifically shown to actually encourage brain cell growth, and it's actually been shown to have anti-carcinogenic value in it. And it's funny because everybody goes back to this one study where they tested marijuana on monkeys, and they all died within 90 days, and they looked at their brain cells and they were lost. What they didn't tell you is how they actually conducted the study, which was released 6 years after the fact. Which they actually literally just hooked up gas masks to these monkeys and pumped them full of, I think, the equivalent of like 1,500 joints in 5 minutes or something like that.
I don't think it was that extreme. I think it was something like 60 high-grade, high-potency marijuana joints.
Within 5 minutes of each other. without any other oxygen in it. So they literally suffocated monkeys with marijuana smoke. And 4 minutes after your brain starts losing oxygen, your brain cells die. And then from that day forward, that's where everyone got this pseudoscience of marijuana actually destroys brain cells.
There was a study in Saskatchewan, the University of Saskatchewan. The details about it aren't widespread yet, but the study shows that marijuana use actually promotes brain cell growth, which is completely contrary to the myths of what's been told to the public.
It seems a little strange, but
which it isn't. What it is a gateway to is other drugs if you deal with or have some sort of context with your peers. Because you may be sitting around smoking tokes and someone say, well, hey, let's try something a little bit stronger. But marijuana itself is not a gateway drug per se.
It's a gateway drug in the sense that because there is a black market, most drug dealers, they're dealing in everything. They're dealing from marijuana to black tar heroin. So the accessibility is there simply through the creation of the black market that doesn't have to be there in the first place. I mean,
I don't agree with it. I think a lot of people abuse it and then they end up screwing up their lives.
I guess I think it shouldn't be done just because I guess the medical use is the only reason they need to use it.
I don't feel very good about it. It's almost like alcohol. It causes lots of health problems. You have an increased liver problems, heart problems, and overall major health problems and behavioral problems. Over a while, if you keep on doing it like alcoholics, your behavior just changes overall for the worse. Like you become useless almost.
I think marijuana is great and it should be legalized. It helps me relax. It helps everyone relax.
I'm all for it, 100%. Just think there'd be a lot less problems and stuff if they actually started selling it and taxing it. There's a lot of money to be made. Less kids would be getting in trouble. I don't know. I'm all for it. I think I like smoking it. What can I say?
I think that I've got no issue with it being used for medicinal purposes. Other than that, could be problematic.
I think that it would be great because I think it would give the government extra money and maybe they would less tax everything else. And I don't think that it's harming anybody, and I'm for it.